happens when a high-energy action movie is shot fast, cut tight, and packed with stunts that leave no room for perfection. Double Impact gave audiences two Van Dammes, Hong Kong locations, and great fights, but it also left behind a trail of mistakes and details most viewers never catched. These moments don't change the film, but they show what slips through when a production moves at full speed. These are the 10 things you didn't notice while watching Double Impact. The first big shootout in the movie moves so quickly that most people never notice what's actually happening to the enemy's car. The scene is full of action, suspense, and gunfire. It's the kind of early 90s action that keeps you glued to the screen. But if you look closely, something funny pops up. The same headlight on the black Mercedes gets blown out not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. It's what you would call maybe a tiny slip-up, but it says a lot about how quick and rough the editing was. The movie wasn't trying to hide perfection. It was trying to keep the pace high, even if it meant the headlight had a longer life than it should. When Alex takes Chad and Frank out on his boat for the first time, there's a small continuity slip that passes by so quickly, most people never spot it. When we first see Chad, if you look at his shirt pocket, it's on the left side, but in the next scenes, it jumps to the opposite side on the right. It's just a simple flip screen, and one of those tiny mistakes that slip through when the production is rushing and nobody expects us to watch closely enough to catch the mistakes. The movie has plenty of over-the-top action, but nothing stretches reality quite like Alex's pistols during the Causeway Bay shootout. He's firing in every direction, rolling on the floor with 2 Berettas blazing non-stop. It looks cool, it sounds cool, and it fits the energy of the moment. But there's one problem. Those 2 pistols don't hold that many rounds. There's no pause in the action, no moment where he swaps magazines. He just keeps going like his guns have a bottomless pit of bullets. It's the kind of thing you don't think about when you're caught up in the excitement, but once you notice it, the scene becomes a perfect example of early 90s movie logic. Style first, physics later. During the final chase, Alex climbs the crane to go after Zhang, and the scene is shot to look dangerous. But if you watch the moment where he slips and catches himself, the background below gives it all away. The lighting is off and you can clearly tell it's a green screen shot. It's obvious he wasn't actually hanging off a massive crane for that moment. The production needed a safer way to get the shot, so they used a controlled setup with a composited background. Chad and Danielle's escape through Hong Kong and the harbour leads up to one of the movie's best moments, the fight between the twins. And yeah, I know what scene most of you thought I was referring about during my brief pause. But before that scene, Chad and Danielle jump into the water to escape. They swim to safety by climbing onto the boat. But that's when something doesn't add up. Danielle's clothes are wet, she's hanging them up, she's dripping wet and drying them in the open air. Chad, on the other hand, looks like he never even touched the water. His clothes are perfectly dry. It's a small production shortcut that most of us miss completely, but once you catch it, it's impossible not to laugh. One character looks like she went for a swim, and the other looks like they arrived by a taxi. When Frank races back in the little red sports car, the scene plays out quickly and you're focused on where he's heading, not what's happening along the road. But when he's arriving at the Wagner's home, if your eyes shift slightly to the left of the frame, you can see the shadow of the camera rig mounted on the car. It's not something that's easily noticeable, it's a blink of an eye and you miss it goof that unless you're looking for it, it's really hard to see. Over the years, some of the goofs listed for Double Impact on IMDb have taken a life of their own, but a few of them don't hold up when you actually watch the film closely. One of the claims that one of the oil barrels Moon throws around is made from foam or rubber, and it creases. When you watch the fight, none of the barrels actually crease. The shot where Moon runs with the barrel towards Chad shows a dent or crack, but it doesn't fold or bend like foam. Now, I'm not saying they were actually using real barrels for that shot, but what is actually stated on IMDb doesn't hold up when you watch the movie. There's also a goof listed that Chad hangs from a warehouse ledge and you can see blue screen behind him. That moment never happens in the film. Chad never hangs from anywhere. The only moment that you see someone hanging is the moment when Alex is on the big crane during the final chase, which we have already covered in the main list. Another claim says that the set is visible when Chad kicks open the door to Alex's parlor, but when you watch the scene, nothing is exposed. Those alleyways and the chase scene that follows were all filmed on Hong Kong streets.
Express service.
Right after Chad opens the side door to Alex's parlor to get Danielle, the movie expects your eyes to stay on the actors. When the door opens, if you slow it down, you can see the set. Once you spot that, it kind of breaks the illusion. For one frame, it turns from being Hong Kong into a soundstage. The final fight between Chad and Moon is one of the highlights of the movie, full of big hits, big reactions and poses, and the kind of slow motion stuff you would expect from Van Damme in his prime. But when you slow down that helicopter kick even more, something doesn't line up. Chad spins, extends his leg, and his foot never connects. It's not even close. There's a clear big gap between his foot and Moon's head, but the scene sells it with camera angles and sound effects and of course Bolo's reaction. It's a classic action movie illusion, fast enough in real time that your eyes feel in the hit, stylish enough that the movement still works, but once you notice the distance, the whole thing turns into a perfect example of movie magic doing all the heavy lifting. The fight between Chad and Alex is one of the biggest highlights of Double Impact. It's loud, heated, full of kicks and punches, but the moment you start looking closely, the scene reveals more about how it was made than the film ever intended. To pull off the illusion of Van Damme fighting himself, the production didn't have CGI at that time or the digital tricks of today. They used two body doubles. To stand in for Chad, they used a French stunt performer who specialized in kicking. And to stand in for Alex, they used an ex-US Navy SEAL to portray his stronger physical presence. The fight still works great, but when you catch the doubles slipping into a frame, you suddenly see the whole machine behind the moment. When the triads start following the Wagners home, the chase starts clean and easy to follow. At first, the car behind them is a small red sports car. When Paul notices the tail, he starts speeding up, and the scene cuts faster, the tension rises, and everything seems straightforward, but once the chase pushes into higher speed, the continuity slips. The red sports car suddenly isn't the same anymore. In this specific shot, the vehicle behind them turns into a completely different model, a black, older looking car that doesn't match the one we saw first. It's a quick switch that's only in one scene, but slowing the scene down makes the jump obvious. It's a scene the production probably didn't expect us to notice. As the two cars zoom past, it isn't something you're gonna notice when you're embedded in the film. Double Impact is remembered for the Hong Kong action and Van Damme's twin performance at his peak. But looking closer shows a different side of the movie. There were small mistakes, hidden tricks that doesn't change what the film is, but they reveal how fast it was to shoot and how much pressure the crew must have worked under. Once you notice them, the movie becomes a mix of action, charm, and the kind of rough edges you find in 90s action filmmaking. Thanks for watching, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.